Now we're going to do the bow next, and bows are something we like to avoid because they can be a little bit tricky. But using the column stitch tool, it's not difficult at all. So I am going to ungroup these sections, and then I am going to erase stitches. So I'm going to start with the first section, and I'm going to hide all the rest until we're ready. What you want to use is the Create Fill with a Pattern tool. You're going to start at the upper left right here. Put your second node down at the bottom. Go back to your first stitch. You have a tool selected and the curve stitch. Set a node there, a second node there. Adjust your curve nodes. Now come back down and select your second node. A node here, adjust your curve nodes, and a node there. That will close the object. Density is 4.5, pull compensation is 0.2, and of course we don't have any underlay. So when you set the parameters, make sure you remove your underlay. Now when you generate stitches on that, you can see you now have the top half of your bow. Add a carving stitch in the center of that section of the bow to give it a little bit more life. We're going to do the second half of the right-hand side of the bow now, and sometimes it can be quite tricky to set your nodes in the correct position. Place your first node right here. That is node 1. Pull your second half of your first node right out to there. That is your second node. Go back to your first node right here and set one more node just into the center of the round part of the bow. You can adjust your curve stitch a little bit. Come back and select your second node and place your final node right here on the left side. Again, just slightly inside the center part of the bow, and adjust your curve stitch. That seems a bit strange, but it does work. If we generate stitches, you can see that we have a nice angle for each stitch going into each other, which is what we want. And when we go back to the second one, let's see if I can find it. There it is right there. You'll notice that I have the curve stitch selected. So that's the right-hand part of the bow. Let's go over to the left-hand part. And each time I added a curve stitch. Start with the first node there, pattern column with the pattern tool, second node, and then you want to add a node right there and a node curving down to the bottom. Second node, select it, add a node there, right click, end of segment, and then your final node will be right there. So you have that one finished, and you can see you have a nice angle for that bow as well, and you have your carving stitch. Now what you want to do is go back and add connection stitches between objects wherever necessary. And you can see that those are the connection stitches I have added. That one's between section A and B of the right side, just going down the outside edge. This goes over to the first section of the left side, and you can see it's across the center of the bow. Now let's go back to the third section, or the fourth section. First stitch is right here, and if you look to see where the curve nodes are, you will see where my second stitch is. I pulled it right down very close to the first stitch. Then I put one node there, one node there. I got my second stitch, clicked on it, and I have one node there, and one node there. So if I click on this one, right click, end of segment, you can see that my nodes are matching. Side 1, 2, 3. Side 2, 2, 3. There is an extra node in there which I can eliminate or I can leave it in. Technically your nodes should match, so I'm going to insert another node right there, and then I can put in another end of segment. So there I have matching nodes all the way across with ends of segment. Press the space bar and generate stitches, and you have a very nice curved bow on that side. Control E for my connection stitch, and you can see, I think we can see, now where it is, where is it? There it is, a nice little tiny connection stitch right there. The final object will be your circle in the center, and I'm going to split it. As you can see, I use the create column with a fill tool. That's hard to say sometimes. And all I did was set a node here, a node there, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I am still using my pattern, column with the pattern tool, but I have made a circle. And then I have simply created an outline around the circle with a backward path. You cannot create an outline from a column, so I had to digitize it using the Create Outline tool. If you find that too difficult, just use the Create Fill tool for your center. Join those objects together, and again one more connection stitch to the beginning point of the circle, and then group everything. This will be the most difficult part of this design, is to get this bow looking nicely. But using the column with the pattern tool, it works out very well.